Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from main copy 4866 and it says, how do I, 25 female, repair my relationship with my boyfriend, 25 male, and his family after what I suggested to his sister, 19 female. So, I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend who we'll call G for about 2 years. He has 3 younger siblings, M, 23 male, A, 21 male, and T, 19 female. All of them are still in college and still live at home with their mum, 55 female, and dad, 55 male, while my boyfriend and I rent an apartment. This summer, they will be celebrating their 30th wedding anniversary in France, where they had their wedding. They plan on getting first-class tickets, a high-end hotel, etc. One night, G and I were supposed to have dinner with his family. While we're at their house, T mentioned how excited she was for this summer and all the things they plan to do in France. As this is an anniversary trip for her parents, I suggested to T that she could do her parents a solid and maybe stay back home and out of their hair to give her parents time away from their kids this summer. Or she could maybe pay her own way so her parents could save money. T asked me why she'd give up a trip to France, and I told her it would be a nice gesture for her parents' anniversary. I kept trying to tell her how nice it would be and how her parents will probably thank her for giving them space. At some point, M interrupted us and told me to stop meddling in family affairs, that I was overstepping, and to either apologize for pressuring T or to leave the house. I told him I didn't mean to make anyone upset, but when their dad came into the room and asked them what was wrong, they told him everything. He then asked me to leave his house and said I probably shouldn't come back anytime soon because I was overstepping, and he found it rude that I was making up a problem and pressuring T to solve it. Me and G went back to our apartment and we haven't been speaking. Where do I go from here? Edits for more info. The others are invited, but they are older, so I assume they can just do their own thing. I'm not obsessed with their financial situation. I just think it's important that T starts making money on her own so she can value it more. She's used to getting her hair, nails, and sometimes makeup done and paid for. Not to mention how much product she buys for her hair and sanitary products. It'll hit her hard how much this stuff costs when she's older. So why not start learning that now? Now, for me in this, you did massively overstep. And it didn't feel like you was helping T learn about financial responsibility. That just feels like it's a excuse after you've been called out for it. You literally spoke up to try and exclude a teenager, or be an older one, from her own family celebration. You put that pressure on her. And you seem to be so focused on her finances that you know about how many products she buys for her hair and sanitary products. That's weird for me. And I kind of wonder what other comments have been raised up in the past from OP in this, because the dad's reaction was pretty swift. And the fact is, the parents want their children there for their celebration, for their marriage and family. And you seem to be the only one who thinks that they need space. So there was a couple of comments in this one where OP replied to him. The first one was one that was downvoted, by the way, but it said, sometimes after certain situations or actions, people do a bit of self-reflection. Seems to me that is what OP is doing. OP said sorry. She was asked to leave. I don't know what OP has to let go of. OP from her previous comments appears to stand by her thought process, and if what she wrote was true, and I have no reason to believe otherwise, that she made the suggestions with the best of intentions, I can't fault her. I'd be aggrieved too. OP says yes, I'm tired of apologizing for making suggestions. Me and G had talked about wanting to get married in the future, and I feel like he's the one. He's also close to his family. How am I supposed to have a healthy relationship with them and give my opinions if they're always shooting me down? Commenter replies saying, why was it so important to you to bring this up to her, and why push it? You say you've given so many apologies. Can you give an example? Who are you to decide how they should spend their money? OP says, my boyfriend told me about how his parents plan on putting their homes in their kids' names so they can sell it and split the earnings between the 4 of them when they're about to kick the bucket. I told him he shouldn't rely on his parents to give him money. So if they do end up selling the house, I suggest that they put all of that money into an account for their parents so they can live out their last years comfortably. So sometime later, OP did come in with her update and they said, last night, me and G had a long and serious talk about my comments at the dinner, along with some of my past comments. He told me while in my family refusing a free trip when you're invited may be seen as noble, in his family, refusing a free trip is seen as stupid. In my family, if someone offers to pay for you, you should always decline no matter what. My parents made me work all throughout high school and always told me I'd have to get a scholarship to help pay for college because they weren't going to do it. It is a courtesy in my family to not expect help with finances no matter how tough it may get. To only eat one serving at dinner gatherings, to always pay your own way. And we often voice our opinions no matter what they are. He then went into discussing the trip to France. His mother has extended family who live there, so this will not be the first or last time they all go. It'd be the first time they explore the area. Even if T wasn't old enough to go off on her own and didn't know her way around all the language, she'd be just fine. And if his mum and dad wanted alone time, she'd be just fine on her own, even if they didn't have family there. When me and G first started dating and we were talking about our family history, he told me about how his maternal great-grandparents moved to America from France. I was under the impression that everyone from his mother's extended family moved, not just the great-grandparents and their children. Apparently, his mother thought my behavior was because I didn't feel welcomed by them, and the dinner was to invite me on the France trip as a sort of peace offering. However, after his father caught me trying to sway T, he had enough and decided he couldn't take it anymore no matter what his wife says. He will not tolerate me being around the rest of the family or in their home any longer. This came as a shock to the family, as his dad doesn't speak much and is usually calm and composed. My boyfriend also showed me his photos from his parents' wedding. It looked like one of the most fairy tale-like weddings I'd ever seen. It was held at Chateau Chalane. Apologies about that pronunciation. And he explained how they plan on renting the space again and flying all of their extended out to celebrate with them because they want to celebrate with everybody and will take time for themselves later on in the summer. I also teared up listening to how his parents met. After graduating high school, his mother spent the summer in France with her family and his dad was visiting along with his older brother. His dad had struggled with cancer nearly his entire life up to that point, and it was supposed to be his dad's last trip before he let himself go, because he was tired of it all. One morning while eating alone at a cafe, he recognized her as the most beautiful girl he's ever seen, who spent her time helping out with her family with their restaurant, running it like it was the Navy. Someone who wasn't afraid to call customers out when they were being unreasonable or just downright rude, and someone who knew exactly what she wanted and how to get it. The complete opposite of him. They spent the day together, which inspired his father to continue his cancer treatment, accomplish his goals, and start taking life more seriously so he could be by her side for as long as she'd have him. His parents always told him and his siblings the only thing in life they value more than each other are their children, and they want to make sure if life ever gets hard for them, they have something to fall back on. He told me he'd be moving back in with his parents until he can find a new apartment. He also revoked my invitation to their family Christmas trip to Aspen, which we were supposed to be leaving for tonight. I feel like I'm in a Darman video right now. What the fuck? On another note, my friend saw my initial post and gave me an intervention. I will be attending therapy for the foreseeable future. May update when I unpack what's wrong with me. Edit for info. People seem to be confused. When I say his father recognized his mother in France, I mean that literally, as they're from the same hometown. Other info, some people think that I'm saying love cured his father's cancer. I was told that is what made him continue treatment. That's all I was told. And one more info which says, I've also gotten comments about years of Chateau Chalane becoming a wedding venue and the wedding not making sense. Unless I'm misremembering something, I remember him saying that they were married there. Maybe I'm mixing up locations where he was talking about the wedding venue and the wedding anniversary venue. And look, I don't think OP was right in the beginning, and in some ways, it's probably a predictable outcome there. But I'm glad OP is getting some kind of therapy. They talked about their background, etc. And it sounds like there is some stuff to unpack there. So, you know, regardless of what happened, I do wish them the best going forward. And I hope that they are able to discover themselves a bit more. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is coming from a user called Fiddlesticks. That's titled, Friend 26 male said horrible things about me 23 female, all while he's staying at my place along with all his things for free. Get his ass gone. And too soon, Mark, too soon. It starts off, my friend Kevin recently had to move out of a house him plus his family were renting. I've known him since I was about 13, and we've kept up a friendship, or what I thought was a friendship, ever since then. I've helped Kevin out numerous times, from picking up groceries for him when he was out of a job and didn't have money, to taking him back and forth to work for months at a time. I thought he was my friend, and friends help each other. So, about 2 months ago, his mum, yep, he does indeed still live at home with his mother, his sister 19, and 3 other people who aren't related to him, lost her job, and they were no longer able to make rent. He's currently unemployed, and asked if I had anywhere for him to stay and put some of his things. Stupidly, I agreed. I told him he'd only be able to stay certain days because I wasn't comfortable with him being there when I wasn't, and I also need time to myself. So it averaged out that he stays about 3 days a week, give or take a day or two, if I say it's okay. Anyways, he stayed this last Friday, and everything went fine. He had someone pick him up the next morning to go job hunting and left. Edited to point out, he wasn't really job hunting, he was out with his friend picking up pills and Molly to sell on the side. This is a major reason I want him out of my house. I could overlook the shit talking in order to make things go smoothly, but I absolutely will not tolerate being friends with someone who sells drugs. Been there, done that. He left his phone. At first I wasn't snooping. We both have the exact same phone, and it was laying on my computer desk, where mine usually is anyway, and I heard it vibrate. Obviously I picked it up thinking it was mine and that someone texted me, but I was wrong. Display opens up to a conversation he's having with one of his friends, and it's about me. I know that I shouldn't have read it, and I wouldn't have, had the first text I saw said, so are you still at that bitch's house? Bitch meaning me. I was hurt, felt sick to my stomach, and stupidly continued to read the rest of the conversation. This guy has said horrible things about me. He accused me of lying on certain days when I said I was busy, said that I lied about my father having cancer. He does in fact have cancer, and it's bad. Not sure how much longer he has left, and obviously I'm at my parents' house a lot to see him and help my mother care for him. He called me a see you next Tuesday numerous times, said I was two-faced, that I was a shitty friend, talked shit about my boyfriend, etc. One text was like, the only thing that would make this deal any better is if she started fucking and sucking me, but that's not gonna happen, because she's so crawled up her boyfriend's ass. It broke my heart, because I really thought I was helping him out, and now I see it was pretty much just taking advantage of me. So now, I'm stuck. He's staying at a friend's house right now, and that friend came and picked up his phone on Saturday, so I didn't see Kevin. I don't know what to do. Save for about 4 outfits, I currently have all of his clothes in my possession. I also have some of his furniture, well, his mum's, in my storage unit, because they're living with family members. I don't want to bring anything I read up. I understand that was a violation of his privacy, but it doesn't change the fact that he said all those things and that I know he said them. This isn't a oops, I accidentally unlocked my boyfriend's phone and read every text or Facebook conversation since the beginning of time thing. I had no intentions of looking at his phone, honestly thought it was mine, until I saw that text. I should have stopped, but I'm glad I didn't because not only do I know what he said, I also know about the drugs. So right now, how do I explain to him that he needs to get his things and find somewhere else to stay without it being a problem? I don't want to make Kevin mad because I know what he's capable of when he doesn't like someone. And it looks as if he doesn't like me right now anyway. So I really don't want him coming here and destroying my house or something. Kind of at a loss here. It's not a roommate situation, so I don't really have to give him a time frame or anything of when he needs to leave. But at the same time, I don't want to be a bitch about it and tell him to just come get his shit and never speak to me. I was thinking of telling him that one of my relatives or something is coming down and needs to use my spare bedroom. But that doesn't solve the issue of his furniture still being in my storage unit. Reddit, you got any ideas? Titty Sprinkle says, here is what you do. You get a real friend to move all of his shit out of your storage unit, and you take his clothes and put them in the same pile, and then you tell Kevin he can go pick up his pile of shit and to not contact you. This is not a friend. This is an arsehole who has taken advantage of you. You owe him nothing. The point of you finding out he is talking shit about you is completely moot. What he said was so unbelievably disrespectful. It is your home and your happiness. You just kick his ass to the curb. Seriously, it's that easy. Opie replies saying, it's not that easy though. I'm seriously worried if I just tell him, get the fuck out, don't contact me, here's where your stuff is, he'll go batshit and try to break into my house. For an anonymity's sake, I'm not going to go into a detailed description of why I think that, save for that he's done it before when he was younger. I had no knowledge of that before reading the text, but I know that now too, which is why I'm worried about that. I do have a home security system, but I'd rather avoid that at all costs. Diddy Sprinkle replies saying, honestly, if you are legitimately afraid of something like that would happen, then tell the police what is going on and ask them to add some patrol to the area. You can't live in fear of a bully. I understand it's scary, but if he feels like he can bully you, which I have a strong suspicion he already has, then he will continue to scare you to get his way. If you have a home security system and you change your locks, you will be just fine. You need to make this a clean break, and the only way to do that is to box up his stuff, drop it off, and ignore him. You owe him nothing. Opie says he doesn't have a key, and he's never been in possession of my keys. There's only 2 sets anyway, mine and my boyfriend, so is getting locks changed mandatory. Only curious about this because it's set up with my security system. I can opt in to receive an email/text anytime my door is locked or unlocked, so I'm unsure if messing with the locks would fuck with that too. Someone asked saying if Opie lives with a boyfriend or if he can stay over. Opie says unfortunately no. He does stay here from Friday to Monday, but I go to his house Tuesday and Wednesday, and unfortunately my friend knows this, as this has been our routine for the past 4 years. So he knows when I'm not home, but he also knows I have an alarm. And there was lots of comments, just saying kick him out, call the police, it's that simple really. And I get where they're coming from, I really do, but I think about my past and growing up in the area that I did, and there was all sorts of shit going on, let me tell you. Dealers and potentially dangerous people. If you stay amicable with them, you're absolutely fine, but you piss them off, you're potentially in big trouble. And yeah, people will say, just report that to the police if you're that worried. Which again, I get is the correct thing to do. But the police can't be at your door 24/7 guarding it, let me tell you. And again, I know I'm projecting here from my own childhood and what I've seen, because this might be a completely different situation, but it just feels like he's the type of person that I've seen in my past, so I can only relate in that way. But let me briefly tell you, where I live where I did, and above me and about 4 doors along, a new family moved in. One kid was 15, one was 19, absolute fucking animals. They were dealing, robbing people in town, and sure, police would come round, take him away, but a bit later on the day, they'd be back round again, just doing their normal shit. Partying, massive parties, drugs there and all sorts. Someone reports a noise, that person would find a brick through their window the next day. And the police could warn them, because that's all they could do, because they couldn't prove it was them that threw the brick. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't report them or anything like that, because, that's not right either. I totally get that. All I can say is where I came from, and I know it's not right. But OP also needs to look after their safety at the same time. So maybe they could do some of these things. They could, let the police know what's going on. Put all of his stuff somewhere and say, that's your stuff, collect it, put new security systems in. But also, I would think at the same time is maybe talk to your boyfriend, move in with him for a certain period while this is happening, just to see what happens. Take all your best possessions to his house for the time being until it all calms down, because I wouldn't trust it either if I was you. But again, this is my own projection, right? And I think you need to be as safe as possible. But OP came in with an update and said, after reading a comment that she saw, I decided to stop being a pussy about it and just tell him to get his shit. I packed up all of his clothes and the rest of the stuff he had here and waited till my boyfriend got off of work. When he got here, I called Kevin and told him to come get his stuff, that he couldn't stay here anymore. Then hung up. He started texting me. This is pretty much the conversation. Kevin said, what the fuck? I didn't have anywhere to stay tonight. What the fuck am I supposed to do now? Opie says, I don't know. Maybe get a decent job and keep it so you actually have somewhere to stay instead of couch surfing. Kevin said, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? I didn't think you'd give a shit how long I stayed. You have a spare bedroom. It's not like it matters. Opie says, yes, I have a spare bedroom. I, meaning mine. The spare bedroom in my house that I went to college and got a decent job and saved up money to afford buying. I didn't buy it so my friends could crash in it and live here rent-free. Kevin said fine, be like that. That's a really fucked up and bitchy thing to do. I'll have my shit in a few hours. I'm busy right now. So it ends up being around 1 a.m. and still haven't heard from him, and my boyfriend is getting pissed. Boyfriend calls him up and says, look, you have 15 minutes to get here and get your stuff or it's going out by the road. Got another text from Kevin calling my boyfriend a douche and that I do whatever my boyfriend says. And then, that's why you're kicking me out. You don't give a shit. You're doing it because Josh told you to. Obviously that isn't true. My boyfriend doesn't care who stays at my house and he's never been mean or anything to Kevin. I don't text him back and about 20 minutes later, Kevin and 2 of his friends show up. They all get out of the car and start to come in. And my boyfriend just blocked the doorway and tells them they're not coming in and that his stuff is already packed up. Kevin comes in, grabs his laundry basket of clothes and starts handing off his stuff to the guys from the doorway. Before Kevin leaves, he turns around to me and is like, this is really fucking bullshit. I thought we were friends. I just said, so did I, and shut the door. He hasn't tried to text me or call me anymore, but his mum did. She was nice and just asked if I had some time in the next few weeks. If I could meet her at my storage unit to get the rest of her things, I have no problem with his mum, and I'm certainly not going to keep her away from her furniture. But I have no plans at all to talk to Kevin. People were asking if Opie was scared when he brought the 2 friends along. Opie said, oh my god, my heart dropped when I saw them get out of the car. I knew both of the guys though, from going to high school with them, and afterwards realized that the 2 guys live together, and only one of them has a car. So Kevin is most likely crashing with them. I don't think it was a scare tactic because as soon as my boyfriend told them they weren't coming in, they were both like, sorry man, I understand, we're way out here, no problem. They just sat on the porch playing games on their cell phone till Kevin asked them to take his stuff to the car. When told not to go alone to meet the mum at the storage place, Opie said, well, she called a few minutes ago and asked if I'll be free on Friday sometime because she's found another house to rent and started apologizing to me for the way Kevin acted. It apparently went to her bitching because I wasn't letting him stay, and she started telling me that she didn't blame me for kicking him out, and if he wasn't her only son, she would have dropped his ass a long time ago. Nevertheless, I don't feel comfortable meeting her by myself, so my boyfriend and his brother are going with me. I can excuse them being there by saying it's to help her load up her truck. And boyfriend brought this up earlier. We decided we'll meet the mum, and I'll stay at the house. I'm hoping my alarm and my large dog, which he's scared of, will keep anything from happening. Hopefully. Opie, when told not to let the friend back in her life, Opie says no worries there. After reading those texts, I'm done with this guy. It was fucked up, everything he said, and I only posted the mild stuff. If it had been something like, oh, she's stubborn, or that I was cranky or grumpy, it wouldn't be a big deal. But everything he said, drugs included, I'm so done with that shit. I'm an adult, and I don't have time for that. When someone told OP to move, they said, unfortunately, I can't move. I bought my grandparents' house from them when they retired, and would never be able to get a house this size. For the acreage from what I got it for, I love where I live, and certainly wouldn't move away because of something like him. More on the texting, OP said, unfortunately, I wish it was like this. The person he was talking to about me used to be a mutual friend that I don't associate with anymore because I don't party or drink or do drugs. The conversation talking shit about me went back months and months. Pretty much every time I've ever hung out with this guy, he texts this other guy to talk shit. One time in particular, I was talking to Kevin about some family problems. You know, you do that when you're friends. And he had texted this guy a whole conversation and was like, she's such a liar. I don't give a shit what happens in her life. None of it was a lie, and it hurt me to think the entire time I was spilling my guts and heart out to him. He was just making fun of me. And it seems my projection was completely wrong. But I'm glad OP was able to work stuff out in the end, get him out of your house and just be done with him. And, you know, no one's got time for that sort of drama in their life, do they? But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.